Good morning. Thank you so much for keeping it UBC TV. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa, coming in to take you to this, towards the end of Good Morning Uganda, this extra part. Now, we have all, if not all, a good number of us have heard about the program that government came up with to empower women, especially those in business, the GROW project, among other programs by government, by individual organizations, other agencies and other players that are coming up with different programs to empower women, especially those in business. But there are hindrances that come in the way of women growing and thriving in entrepreneurship and business. One of them are social norms. So how do they affect women, especially in businesses? Which social norms are we talking about? Can they be changed? Because some of them are like unwritten laws. Can they be changed? And if they are to be changed, how? Or how can we live with them as well as grow in business? That is what we're going to talk about in this part of Good Morning Uganda. And my guest is Bruna Patricia Acham. She's a legal specialist with CARE International. Bruna, we're so glad to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here this morning. Good morning, dear viewers. My name is Bruna Patricia Acham, and I'm a legal specialist working under or supporting under the GROW project.
Oh. Now, we have the GROW project. First of all, let us paint a picture of somebody watching us to understand which exact program are we talking about. How far has it gone and how is the public responding to it?
Well, the GROW project is a 5-year initiative of government of Uganda.
Yes.
And it's an initiative that is being implemented by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development in partnership with other sectors. It's being funded by the World Bank. And this is being implemented by the Ministry of Gender and Labor and Social Development in partnership with the private sector Foundation Uganda and NGOs like CARE International and UONET. The target group for this GROW project are women entrepreneurs. It's generally an initiative that is seeking to see women entrepreneurs grow within their businesses in different dimensions. It's 4-dimensional. There is an aspect of enabling women access finances through partners like the banks and microfinance entities that have agreed with the government. I could give examples of Centenary, Pride, Microfinance, PAL Bank, and then there is DFCU and Opportunity Bank. Aside
where
from
this
that,
money is deposited by government and people access it through these banks.
Yes. So generally, the money is available for women entrepreneurs, and it is an initiative through which they are able to access loans which are interest friendly. It's at a 10% interest, at an annual 10% interest. I would take it that it is the lowest that is available on market. And the minimum that a woman can be able to access this money is 2 million and above. Yes, the maximum is 200 million. And the target group is not only women that have registered enterprises or businesses. It's targeting all kinds of women in business, both in the formal and the informal sector. And although there might be requirements that are set in, for example, you need collateral, yeah? You need either, you may have a movable property or immovable property, which are your land titles, a logbook, or any other thing that you can show. But then there are also entities that are able to give women, as long as they show that they have had a business that is running for at least 6 months. They give you loans which are interest friendly. But aside from that, there are other programs that are being run under the GROW project. For example, we have issues of mindset change, capacity building of women entrepreneurs, and also engaging communities through dialogues to help them understand the need for agency, or for women to be able to exercise their rights in controlling, managing, and owning their businesses and the resources that come therefrom. So there is that aspect of capacity building and mindset change, which I believe is the conversation for today, yes. Social norms and mindset change. But aside from that, there is also enabling women to register their businesses, formalizing the businesses. So there's a partnership between the Ministry of Gender and the Uganda Registration Services Bureau to help women register their businesses, moving away from the informal setting into the formal, and where they can have better recognition and benefit a lot more. But also, this is being done through, at the grassroots level, through the women entrepreneurs platforms in all the districts, and trainings have been rolling out in those different locations, different places, to build the capacity of the women entrepreneurs and the leadership therein, including the district local governments, so that they can be able to support women in general. Yes.
Okay. Now, we have the program. Have women started getting this money and they are responding to it positively?
Yes, I can confirm that quite a number of women have been able to access loans, and a number of them also have been supported to register their businesses by the URSB. And many of them are progressing.
So the idea is being achieved.
Yes, moving women from small businesses to medium to larger, growing them generally, having a strategic move, and enabling them to become better in managing, generally empowerment, and women having agency in whatever they are doing.
Now, there are so many hindrances to women growing into business. Our focus today is on social norms. First of all, when we talk about social norms, what are those things that we're looking at? I don't want to explain it myself. I'll bring it back to you.
Well, social norms are social constructs.
Yes.
How society perceives each category of people, the gender roles that are given to each category of people. For example, it is taken that women are nurturers, right? And where is their place or duty station? It's in the private space, in the kitchen, bathing the children and managing them in that way.
Yes.
Even when it comes to businesses, women are relegated to the private space. Manage your business within there, but even if you go out to the marketplace, your duty ends at working, but not controlling your resources at the end of the day, or making decisions over your resources. While the men, on the other hand, are the heads of the family. That is how, even in schools, that is what is taught. They are the heads of the family, they make the decisions, they are the final decision makers for everything that happens within the homes. And it is something that is a social norm. It's practiced within the household, and it goes on into the entire society. So we see that society and culture generally shapes the way women manage, run, and
handle all the affairs.
Exactly, including the businesses. So for which we are saying,
to be at the back.
Exactly. For which we are saying under GROW that yes, we recognize that there is that family unit, which is a plus, it's a good thing. But we're also saying that by mandate of the law, by mandate of being humans, we have rights that we are entitled to as women. And women entrepreneurs equally are entitled to those. Some of these rights are the ability to make decisions for themselves, the ability to control resources, and the ability to own the resources. What society has accepted is that the woman can provide the labor. Yes? Actually, studies show that, for example, Uganda is the biggest stuff that we do is agriculture. The studies show that about 75% of women provide labor or do the agricultural work. But when it comes to the output of the agriculture, the resources, who makes the decisions at the end of the day? It is the man. He is the final decision maker. If I could take us just to a scenario that we had most recently, a lady shared, an entrepreneur shared, how she cultivated acres and acres of land of coffee. And she tilled the land, she managed it, and when the coffee was ready, it was harvested. The husband told her that now it's my time to take over. I'm going to look for the market and I will negotiate with the buyers over this coffee. And for which it is okay, families discuss, right? And so the man went, he looked for the market, they negotiated with the buyers. and he sold the coffee. They got a tune of, she estimated it at 60 to 70 million, but 60 million to be precise. They received the 60 million, but she did not see where the money went to. The money became the man's money. He made the decisions over it. And so what is the effect, what is the ripple effect of this? Is that the woman invested her resources for the initial cultivation. She tilled the land, got the coffee, it was sold off, but now the resources didn't come back. What is that? She's not able to reinvest. Her money, for her capital has gone out, so she's not able to reinvest. So we see these are gaps or challenges that are there for women entrepreneurs.
Something small. I will take you a little back to the family setting that you talked about at the beginning. How does it trickle down to business? And secondly, in this time, in these times, do these things really still exist at a rate that is alarming?
I like your question.
Yes.
The reality is, it is a yes, and it is something that is alarming. By the time the government gets interested...
We are seeing women running businesses in markets, go to Chikubo. Their numbers they're almost outnumbering men when it comes to owning. Every street in this country has a woman with a shop, more than even men. So are you saying all these women, or a big percentage of them, do not have control over this money that they are running in the businesses?
I like the fact that you have taken cognizance of the fact that there are women in the business space.
Yes.
In everywhere, Chikubo, every place that you go to, women are in business. The reality on ground is that, yes, women are able to run the businesses, but when it comes to their ability to make decisions, to control the outcome of the businesses, it is limited to a specific individual who is the final decision maker in a home. Yes, I speak out with evidence. Okay. A rapid assessment, a social norms rapid assessment was conducted in Eastern Uganda and Western Uganda late and early this year. And studies showed that social norms or society and culture shape how women manage or run their businesses. It showed that women are able to run the businesses, but because of all the social constructs around them, they are not many times able to make decisions and not able to control the resources. That is where the gap is, and it affects quite a number of women. When you have conversations with the women that run the businesses, even in Chikubo and all those places, you realize that behind the face in the shop, there is somebody in the back door that is controlling how resources are used. What are women's resources relegated to? They are kept to managing the domestic affairs, household chores. Your money, it's okay for you to make decisions over the food that you're buying in the home, the clothes in the home, and everything within the house. But when it gets to decisions of expanding the business and all those things, many times the final decision maker is the husband, is the man, because society has shaped it that way. And it is a reality. Although there may be a few women who are able to make decisions on their own. They have the full control, they exercise full agency over their resources and the businesses that they run.
So the victims of the other vice outweigh the number of women that are in total control?
Yes.
What are other social norms besides the family setting? What other social norms do we look at that still hinder the growth of women in entrepreneurship?
When we say social norms, we're not limiting it only to families.
Yes.
We're talking about the behaviors, the things. One, we've talked about decision making and the ability to control and make decisions over their resources.
Yes.
The second thing is women's mobility. When it comes to women in business, sometimes need to move from place to place, either to trade or to attend business engagements, trade fairs and all those things. But many times there is a perception that women who move or have the free mobility, there is that association to them on the kinds of women that they are. What is a woman going out there to do? She's not able to make decisions on time on, for example, if there is a trade show in Kamocha, and the woman wants to move, she has to wait to speak to the husband to make that decision to be able to move. Yet businesses sometimes are time-bound things. The faster you make a decision, the better for you, right? And so their mobility is controlled by the society, by their spouses. That is the second thing. The third thing is limiting their money. Men sometimes borrow money from women. Okay. which is very common, right? And I remember a case scenario where a man outrightly said that when he realized that his wife was making more resources than himself, the best way that he had to control the resources was to borrow the money from her. But now when it gets back to repayment of this money, this is business money that is leaking out of her business. I am lending you money from my resources of the business. And when it comes to payment, it's not something, family is not something that you're going to push somebody so hard to pay you back. He's just your husband, he's your spouse, or relative at the end of the day. So if he's not able to give you back the resources within a specified period of time, or even ever give you back the resources, it means that your money for the capital for the business has leaked out. You're not able to reinvest, you don't have the money to grow. Yes, to grow the business, yeah. But aside from that is an aspect of property. Property is something that is so key in Uganda, land to be specific. Our laws make a provision for women to own property in their individual capacity or in their individual right. But what does society do? Society limits women to user rights, only the ability to use the land. But we see that land is a key factor for production. Either for agriculture, leasing the property, even obtaining loans, mortgaging and all that. But because women simply have user rights on property, they don't get to use the property the best way that they would. They don't get to make decisions over it. Even when they might need to obtain a loan, just a few days ago, a woman was saying that when she went to one of the banks to obtain a loan, she was asked to get consent from her husband. And so those are factors that limit them. It hinders their businesses.
How is that a problem with the enlightenment that we have? The trends in the world today, of which Uganda is not of exception, the kind of trends we have, the enlightenment in the world today. We have seen women, whenever universities graduate people, there are more ladies than the men. In schools, in business, women are everywhere. How come these kind of trends still keep them aback with the enlightenment that we see ongoing in the world?
Good observation.
We have the laws, like you mentioned, with the enlightenment. How come the women don't know that they have ownership rights legally given by the Constitution and all the laws in the country, but they get pulled back by social norms and that are not actually legally binding?
Social norms or patriarchy generally is an aspect that is deeply rooted or deeply embedded within society. And one of the issues that hinders women is the fear to, they don't want to destabilize their families. They want the family setting to remain in that good state. They don't want to be gossiped about. Not that they don't want. Usually they gossip about them. Women who have broken the norms and who have broken the barriers generally are talked about with so many labels against them. And so even when we have aspects of empowerment, education, and all these other things, the reality on ground is that the rural setting has not yet unlearned these practices. There are things that are still happening. Even when we look at aspects of inheritance or succession, you said it right, that the law is there and the law is very clear to give entitlement to the rightful persons. But why would it be that even when the law is clear, even when there are women who are empowered or enlightened, these things continue to be in place? Is because of the deeply rooted social constructs, because of the deeply rooted practices. And that is why we are having conversations like this, to help deconstruct these things, to help enlighten you, the men, like for you as an example, we're bringing you on board to have conversations and to deconstruct these dialogues that are there, and the beliefs that society is pushing for or pushing across.
Okay. How are you helping women, first of all, when it comes to enlightenment? Some of them are entangled in the problems that come with social norms because of lack of awareness. How are you helping them countrywide to get the enlightenment and the awareness that is necessary to know what their right is, how they have to go about business, how one can balance business and family and all that? Because I don't think we would love to see families breaking because of business, just as we would want to see, we wouldn't want to see businesses failing because of family.
Yes.
How are you helping them to know the law and balancing the two?
Okay. One of the key things that the GROW project is pushing across, and specifically under the mindset change program or the mindset change activity,
yes,
is that we are bringing together all gender on board. We are bringing together the women, we are bringing together the men to have dialogues with them. We have an aspect that we call the role model men. Role model men that we engage in different localities. I told you that this is a project that is running across all districts in the country, including in refugee communities. And most recently we had a training for women entrepreneur platforms in eastern Uganda, and we also brought on board the local government structures. Okay. And in these trainings, we had even men in the trainings, and we had these candid conversations with them and letting them know about the positions of the law, the legal framework that is in place, but also having conversations on things that are hindering women, keeping them back. So through these sensitizations at the grassroots level and countrywide, we are passing messages across and helping societies to appreciate the new normal. I want to put it that way, the new normal, because in the past we had that traditional practice or belief. But now we are helping them to appreciate that legally and by mandate of being human, there is an aspect of equality. There is an aspect of women being able to make decisions, to have their own agency, to control, make decisions, and to own different things. Okay. But we are not trying to override. We recognize that there is need for communication between spouses. And money should not come in to break a family, but rather should come in to help families to grow together. Yeah. And so a woman's ability to access and have resources should not be a bar to a family progressing. It should not be reason for violence within the homes, but it should rather be a stepping stone for them to think ahead and think of how to diversify together. And for not one person to control their resources, but to jointly do it. So communication is a key thing that we emphasize during our mindset change activities.
Okay. How much do you share with the men? You mentioned the role model man, but how much do you share with the men? Internationally, these people that are fighting HIV and AIDS have taken a trend of concentrating on the man. If you don't do this as a man, we shall be safe. So how are you trying to get, what kind of content do you share with the men in order for them to know their position and not misusing it or abusing it to spoil the success of their women?
The information that we share with different categories of people is uniform across.
Really?
Yes, it's uniform. Because there is not information that is unique to women that should not be the same for the men. Why? Because we are driving a message across that we are all human. There is an aspect of equality. There is an aspect of agency for both the men and for the women as well. Yes. And so, as men, we should support our wives. We should support the girls or the women in our spaces to be able to participate in decision making, to have control and to make decisions over their resources, and have candid conversations, open communication within the family setting, within the structures in the community, such that there is uniformity in growth, there is the ability for women to expand their businesses or to grow their businesses, and there is support. You see, women who have thrived Yeah, I'm not saying that that is the norm always, but women who have thrived, many of them attest to having supportive spouses.
Okay.
Yes, their spouses are very supportive of them, and they have less friction within the family setting. And so the information we give to the men is the same as that we give to the women. We educate them on the legal framework that is in place, both for them and both for the women, which is the same. The law is the same. It does not segregate that because she's a woman, her law is different from what governs you. I believe you know that.
I know. What I was looking at, maybe there's something the women need to know privately. Okay, if you're going to talk to him about business, package the message this way. Then the husbands, please, even if she has annoyed you, if you're to quarrel with her, don't mention the business. That's how I was looking at.
The tenets of communication are clear, and we pass it across the same way. One, the message has to be clear. It has to be respectful. And so for both people, just because you're a man does not mean that you have to pass a message whichever way you want to. It has to be respectful. And so messages that we give across countrywide is uniform to all gender.
Okay. You see, most of our social constructs, we grow with them. You are talking to women. Have you gone down to the youth universities? Like, what do you think about that kind of strategy, so that in 10 years you don't have too much work to do with the women that will become entrepreneurs? Is there a way that is mitigative in nature with the younger people?
Yes, they are. This is a government program,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And there are so many other initiatives that the government is running that is bringing on board the young people and in partnership with different organizations, civil society organizations and NGOs. And the idea behind it is to embed in children, in youth, the aspect of gender equality and the aspect of human rights, recognizing that by virtue of the fact that we are human, we have equal entitlements which are God-given. It's not because of either gender. And so these are things conversations that are going on in universities. And specifically for the GROW project, we target the women entrepreneurs at the district level. We target the local government structures, those are the CDOs, and the different structures. And we have conversations with them. And there isn't an age limit, because we have the young women who are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
They're also on board. So we cover all round, and all categories of people are brought on the table.
There are disagreements or fights that erupt between couples on love-related causes. And these ones too may end up solved or failing to be solved because of the social constructs. How are those ones, how do you look at those in relation to keeping the businesses safe? When we fight, you take 50, I take 50. The man will claim, I also contributed. I have been helping you in A and B, A, B, C, D. Like you said, successful women, a good number of them have supportive husbands. So one time she will come to know you have a child in Mkono, and those disagreements will come up. Is there where this is looked at, or it can be something ignored?
No. The beauty about our country,
yes,
or the government, is that our government has a very strong legal framework, or an environment, an enabling environment legally, that looks at relations of people all round. Relationships of individuals within the family setting. We have laws that govern it. The Domestic Violence Act, yes, of 2010 governs relationships of spouses within the domestic setting. And amongst them is different forms of violence: physical, sexual, emotional, and economic violence. And one thing that we take cognizance of is that from an economic perspective, there could be other aspects of violence that might arise, which you're speaking about here. And so the beauty about the GROW project is that it has partnerships with different entities. For example, Care International has a legal specialist that supports women entrepreneurs to access justice. And the legal specialist supports women to access legal advice or legal representation as and when need arises. Okay. But aside from that, before we get to that point of requiring support, we also engage in preventive measures. That is through the education, the trainings that I'm talking about in the different places, to let them know that, well, while there is an aspect of resources here or businesses, there are possibilities of violence rising up because of the businesses that we are running. So how do we handle aspects of violence? How do we preempt and either mitigate the risk before it happens or prepare for it even after it has happened? So these are all components that have been looked into, and the program, I would say, the project is comprehensive, four-dimensional. There is the legal, there is access to resources, finances. I talked about the banks that are giving out the loans, registration of the businesses, and standardization of businesses for women who require that.
Okay. As we wind up, what would be your kind of message to the ladies out there in as far as this project is concerned, in line with safeguarding themselves from social norms that would hinder their success?
And regarding to safeguarding themselves, first and foremost, I want to encourage whoever, all the listeners that are out there, to the women entrepreneurs, to let you know that there is, the government has brought the GROW project to support us, to grow our businesses, to enable us to access funds, to access other services like registration of our businesses and to formalize them, but also to offer legal support to us. Okay. And so as women, where we face hindrances or legal challenges, I want to encourage you to report all forms of harassment, all forms of hindrances that might be legal, to the legal specialists. I talked about WARNET and then Care International that are extending such services. But aside from that, I also want to notify us that there is a partnership between the Ministry of Gender and Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Yeah. Take opportunity and have your businesses registered. All these are services that are free and there will be no charge for them. Also, there are loans that are available for us to access at a friendly interest rate of 10% annually. I don't think there is any other entity, bank or microfinance that can give you at that rate. Yep. Take advantage of this and grow the businesses. But most importantly, to encourage for communities to have dialogues and to deconstruct these social norms that keep women at the bottom, that keep women in the private space, bring women on board for purposes of decision making and enabling them to have control over their resources.
Okay, thank you so much. Her name is Bruna Patricia Acham. She is a legal specialist with Care International, and they're all working in partnership with government in as far as the GROW project is concerned. If you are a beneficiary already, this message is of use to you. If you're thinking about going for the GROW project, you now know what they are looking at in general, and we wish you all the best. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. On behalf of the whole team of Good Morning Uganda, wish you the best of the day. Bye-bye.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises? If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation, when people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo, clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned or what we have stopped